experiences, it's very hard to consider whether they are really wholesome versus unwholesome, beneficial versus detrimental, whether they are leading to more wholesomeness and understanding because they are what one might consider to be spiritual experiences. So one is inclined to take them as having some value without considering whether that is really the case. But what it comes back to is this, that if there is not understanding of the present moment from the beginning, then the practice will not lead to that. If the goal, if the aim is a better understanding of the present moment, then that is where it should begin, with this present moment now. And that means not starting by undertaking a particular posture or by focusing on a particular mental image of some kind or following certain steps, but just considering, reflecting on the words of the person who has seen and understood those realities, namely the Buddha.
And the danger or harm is that one takes those special or particular experiences for being something very great, and as one friend said, one keeps trying to relive it or re-experience or keeps dwelling on it, keeps thinking about it, even though it was some time ago. And at this moment, there is seeing, there is hearing, attachment, aversion, no understanding at all at this moment, because one's thinking and dreaming about those particular special experiences. So the development of understanding, the path taught by the Buddha, always has to come back to this moment now.
If there is nothing now, can there be understanding at all? Because of there's nothing. But now there is seeing, and there's no understanding of the truth of it. What is it? It's not I who see, because it is conditioned to arise and falls away, never to return. Whatever appears should be object of right understanding of its truth. While there's no emptiness right now to be known, so what's the use of thinking about emptiness?
I think he wants to ask something.
Thôi thì mình chắc là mình không nói được rồi, vì mình không nghe đủ đó bạn. Mình nghe không đủ những lời giải thích của các cô với là Jonathan, nó thành ra là mình hỏi thì nó phí thời.
Ok, em nói bằng tiếng Anh đi ạ. Em nói tiếng Anh.
Quay lại mình nghe phát đi, mình quay lại mình nghe đi. Okay. Bởi vì này.
He doesn't understand very well.
I think we need to discourage the telephone.
Oh, let Tham translate.
It's difficult to have to throw somehow the telephone.
I think it's perhaps someone like, instead of, because it's difficult with that, I think that perhaps Geung or Lan or someone can be his representative and present his idea, perhaps. So Geung, if you understand his ideas, you can just be the representative.
He just said he cannot hear on the explanation, so should be better if he take a review later, rehearsal later.
So that shows that any kind of experience without the Buddha teaching is object for attachment more and more.
and ignorance.
and ignorance. Yeah.
Most dangerous of all is the wrong understanding, the wrong practice, the idea that these experiences are of importance and to be pursued, and that somehow they will lead to the goal, when actually they don't lead to the goal at all. They're just objects of attachment. And it's wrong practice too, because there's the idea that I can control, by following a certain practice, then it can lead to more understanding or enlightenment, or an idea of emptiness which is taken for an understanding of dharmas as anatta, but actually it's no understanding at all. So it's the following of ignorance and wrong understanding from beginning to end.
What is opposite of aversion?
Metta,
Non-aversion. What is opposite of attachment?
no, non-attachment.
And what is opposite
Anupa.
of ignorance? So, without panya, there cannot be any understanding of whatever appears or goes on in life at all. Just dreaming and thinking about other things all the time, to be calm, to know this or that, to have such and such, but no understanding of what appears at all. So there must be attachment and aversion as long as there is ignorance. In order to have no aversion, no attachment, there must be only panya. Otherwise, there are conditions for attachment and aversion all the time. Attached to the meditation center, not knowing what is the real advantage at all, because actually that's not the Buddha taught. It cannot lead to understanding life, daily life, each moment like now. And life exists only in a moment, it's gone, without understanding all the time, from birth to death, if there is no understanding of whatever appears. So what's the use of do this and do that, wanting this and wanting that, try to have this and that without any understanding of that moment at all?
I don't know whether my question is related to your discussion. But Ajahn said that the more understand
which understand better and clearer about what is there now, from hearing, considering, it will lead to more understanding. Nobody can have right awareness, right understanding at will at all, but one knows how come to be conditions for right awareness of what, of whatever appears, no selection, because they are anatta, non-self, or uncontrollable.
there were who seem very ignorant, such as a queen. She every day came to her daughter grave and cried beside her grave every day. And a millionaire who was stingy. He even didn't want to share a small piece of cake for his wife, but he attained enlightenment attained the first stage of enlightenment after Buddha teaching.
Without any condition at all, or all depends on conditions. Because we have heard some days ago, right understanding is now developing among akusala. After seeing there is ignorance, not understanding it at all, that it's not permanent. After hearing, there's attachment and ignorance of that which is heard. So in the day, after seeing and hearing and whatever through which doorways, the 5 doorways, there are moments of unwholesome reality accumulated, while panya, which is now begin to understand little by little among unwholesomeness. That's why the reason it takes quite a long time, years and years, to have right understanding grow or develop to the degree when it's time to understand. It is unexpectedly what moment that would be the understanding of that which not happens now, but in the future. It might be a moment of understanding, seeing, the arising and falling of seeing, or the arising and seeing of thinking, and the arising and falling way of touching, whatever. Unexpected, an expectation at all, because of conditions. That's why even right now we don't know what kusala moments will condition what in what life. And can there be more in the future? No idea. It depends on conditions. If there's no hearing of Dhamma at all, like the life of animal, no understanding of the teaching, until the life which can be understanding from hearing, considering, develop on and on and on. And this is the way all akusalas also accumulate, and all kusala also accumulate. That's why people have different character. As long as there is accumulation of attachment, it can be any degree of greed. As long as there are conditions for right understanding develops on and on, it can be conditioned for understanding better and better. That's why even the Savaka in the Buddha time, like Sariputta, before he met the Assaji, Venerable Assaji, his life was as usual as daily life. He went to see the entertainment, listen, as we or as anybody, and he didn't realize at all that he would meet Venerable Assaji to hear the right words for the development of the understanding which has accumulated to understand at that moment the truth of reality. So we don't expect for anything while studying understanding, because one is more relaxed knowing that it's impossible to be enlightened in this life without understanding whatever occurs now. And the way to understand is listening to the teachings of the Buddha, the words of truth of what is real at this moment. And there are so many kinds of unwholesomeness. So the first one that can be eradicated when there is the first stage of enlightenment is wrong understanding and attachment with wrong understanding and doubt about realities. No more doubt. Because whenever there is right understanding, there is no doubt. So at this moment, there is right understanding of there is no one at moment of seeing. It's just a reality which can see, which just arise to see, not to think, not to like. It's the chief of faculty of experiencing only that which is seen. And there is only one reality that can be seen. Seen is real, it's an element which is real because it is seen. How can we say that that which is seen is not real? So real, but where is it? See? Where is the visible object which is seen now? It seems like, how can it be just that which can be seen without anything or anybody in it at all? Close your eyes. Do you see people and things like at moment when you open your eyes? So what is seen is not people, not anyone, not anything, only that which can be seen. And where is it? It's with any Mahabhuta-rupa, the prime form, the four primary rupas, hardness, softness, when it's touched. But when it's not touched, look at it, it's seen. So it's there with the four primary rupas, but no one can see the four primary rupas, hardness, softness, heat and cold. That which can be seen is only that which is there together with the Mahabhuta-rupa. Take this out, it's not seen. Because no Mahabhuta-rupa, but when it's here, everyone sees because it's there with Mahabhuta-rupa, hardness of softness which can be touched but not can be seen. No self, no one can change the truth of reality at all. So there are two kinds of the absolute realities, that which cannot experience anything at all, and that which arises just to experience. No color, no shape, no smell in it. It's just a reality which can experience anything which appears according to its quality, like hearing cannot see, seeing cannot hear, and seeing cannot see sound, and hearing cannot experience or know the visible object. Each reality is not at anyone's control. It's the truth from eons and eons and eons ago, and today's and tomorrow and future here. Attachment is attachment. Aversion is aversion. Ignorance is ignorance. Ignorance cannot attach, it cannot hate, because it cannot understand anything at all. There's seeing right now. We hear about the impermanence of seeing all the times, but it's not enough to understand it as it is because of ignorance. Very, very thick, hinders until it gets less and less and less and less because of more understanding, so that there can be moment of directly experience the truth which one has heard before and today's. Relax, more relax. No expectation, just understand.
examples you gave, like the very wealthy man who couldn't even share a piece of cake, but when he heard the teachings, there was understanding about the realities and the impermanence of realities and the anatta-ness of realities. So these are good examples of why what is important is listening to what the Buddha taught, understanding the realities, not copying the lifestyle, right? Because someone might think, oh, they should be a rich, miserly man, not sharing anything, and then they will be enlightened. So it's not, everyone has different lifestyles, different accumulations, different habits, but the teachings of all, no matter the lifestyle, no matter rich or poor or living here or there, if there is the understanding of reality at this moment, and one isn't led astray by ideas of having special experiences, but if there is understanding right now, that is only visible objects seen, only sound heard, one world at a time. This is what will lead to enlightenment.
And when Ajahn said that for the person who develops understanding, there is lesser kusala in their life, more kusala. And I think we can understand why that is the case. However, the akusala has not been eradicated. There is still the accumulated tendency. So in a future life, next life, when one has not yet heard the teaching of the Buddha, there may be conditions for all those unwholesome tendencies to arise again. So for example, let's assume that we have all heard the teaching in previous lifetimes and developed some understanding. Yet in this lifetime, before we have heard the teachings, we may have led a very unwholesome life. It's only after hearing the teachings that there is a condition again for more wholesomeness in one's life. There's no eradication of unwholesome tendencies until the first stage of enlightenment. And then it is not possible to have certain unwholesome tendencies in the next lifetime. Otherwise, they are still there, ready to manifest when the conditions are right.
Because of the still exists, so if there are conditions for it arises
In another lifetime, it's the latent, the unwholesome tendency is still dormant. It is dormant. It is there in the
later.
yes.
It means it doesn't
Later.
arise.
It hasn't been eradicated. It can arise later. For example, if one forgets about the loses interest in developing the path and goes back to leading another kind of lifestyle.
Is it possible if we know which level we are in?
Right understanding knows, not yet. So now one knows that it's not the level of directly experiencing the arising and falling away of anything yet. No way to try, because it depends on right understanding which grows from hearing the truth and considering the truth and have confidence in the truth. To be truthful to the truth of that which arises that it falls away instantly all the time, unknowingly. But the resolution to able to develop right understanding little by little will be that stage of understanding unknowingly when, where, and what. Do you know what next moment would be? Tomorrow?
I even in my dream I even don't remember. I even didn't remember I am a nun. Just the only dream I could remember what you said, what I had to study, what I study, and about the reality. Just only one in my life.
More relaxed.
Ajahn, I remember before time, Ajahn said about shout. She says she refer reading than hearing. I say I remember Ajahn explain need to hearing. Yet I think hearing is necessary to understand. Ajahn explain. Are there difference between reading and hearing Dhamma?
Yes, we have talked about seeing many times, but not about hearing, etc. Yeah, is hearing real? What do you call that reality, hearing? That which experiences only sound. Hearing cannot think. If there is no sound, can there be condition for hearing to arise? If there is no ear base, can there be condition for hearing to arise? And there are more conditions. What can be heard by conditions? Some heard the wrong words and some heard the right words according to condition.
Her question, I think, was that because by different interests and accumulations, some people, when they study the Buddha's teachings, they like to listen a lot and they don't like to read much, and other people, like you and I, they like to read more, so maybe we don't come to these kind of gatherings, but we may read the teachings or study on our own. So because in the Buddha's time there was no reading, so we talk about hearing the teachings, a condition. Actually, it doesn't matter whether it's hearing or reading or however we can associate with the Buddha's teachings as a condition for the development of understanding, depending on different interests or accumulations. Because some people may not be here, but they have real interest from reading and considering the text carefully. So no rule at all. So when we talk about hearing as a condition, it can mean hearing like now, or it can mean reading at that time. It is said to be hearing the teaching.
Is hearing thinking? Hearing just hear the sound. But after hearing, there is condition for thinking of the word, of the sound. So hearing is not thinking, but there must be thinking of that which is heard.
So Ajahn, when we hear silence, when it's very, very silent with no sound, it's actually thinking, right?
At the moment of just hearing without thinking, there is no understanding of the word at all. Like now, many hearing moments. Is there any understanding or thinking about that which is heard?
Thinking that she's heard.
When she mentioned hearing, she means hearing and considering the teachings. like when we talk about the condition for developing understanding, there has to be the hearing and considering. She means not just hearing, but considering wisely about what.
That's why we better understand the difference between hearing and thinking, seeing and thinking, hearing and thinking of that which is experienced. We might hear the same sound, but different understanding in different language. See? But the sound is exactly that which is heard now, everybody. But someone may not understand that sound, the meaning of it. And some can, because it's one's own language. Or we learn to understand the same sound in one language, which is different meaning in other language. So, what is reading? What is reading?
Ask me what is reading.
Yes.
Reading and see object, and really there are sound. There are sound when we read.
At the moment of reading, not only seeing.
Thinking about what has been heard also.
So it's the remembrance of sound when one is reading. Like we read today, the sound of today is there. From hearing, there's thinking about the sound.
Sound, not actual sound.
And when it seems that nothing is heard, usually it's just ignorance, because one knows that, like now, in between seeing and thinking, there must be hearing too. So if it seems that nothing is heard, was that the point question?
I think last night we also have the point that we close our eyes. Is there any seeing there as well? I think the same point.
I think the question was when there is silence, hearing silence. When there is silence, is there still hearing? Is that right?
Because there's no sound by definition, there's no rupa experience through the doorway, so I should be thinking about silence.
So what is meant by silence? What is silence?
That's concept.
No sound.
No sound, right, concept.
So can you hear that?
No.
Or there's no sound? Or is it relative silence?
Still thinking.
Then the same point, when we close our eyes, then no seeing there, right? Or just seeing the.
Close your eyes now. Is there anything seen?
Yes.
It's there, but not as different shapes and form and people and things. As long as the conditions for seeing to arise, it arises. But the object is, which is seen is different.
Then in darkness is the object of the
Or
seeing.
some light, no shape, no form in it. But it's the object which is seen. Whenever there is seeing, there must be an object which is seen all the time. It cannot be seeing without the object of seeing. Like without sound, it cannot be hearing. If someone says, I hear silence, what does it mean?
I listen to music and there's a pause in between the sound.
That is not sound, so it's not
Right.
hearing.
Right. So that's thinking.
The condition, one condition for hearing is that the sound has to be impinged on the ear sense.
Why did Buddha teach a lot about realities for 45 years? Because it's not easy to understand what happens in life each moment. So one takes it for eye all the time, or something, and that is the wrong understanding of self, the idea of self or something. While there is no self, no something, only a reality, different ones, conditioned to arise and appear at a time. In order to be conditioned to have direct understanding of what is talking about now, like when we talk about seeing, there can be moment of attending the characteristic which experiencing self, visible object, by conditions. If we try now, it's impossible, not enough condition. But from hearing again and again and again, no matter how long, because he taught for 45 years, how many words are there? And each word represents reality. It makes known a reality, like seeing is now, which sees, hearing is that which hears no self at all. From life to life, right understanding of whatever experience can develop from hearing the teachings and right considering, wise considering. So each word should be carefully studied. For example, meditation. What is it and what is calm? If someone asks someone would like to be calm, what would that person say? What the master would say? Tell the techniques, and sitting, walking, standing, no understanding at all what calm is. So that's not the teachings of the Buddha, because Buddha didn't teach or tell anyone to go anywhere or to do anything, but he asked that person about seeing and hearing. Is seeing permanent? See, is hearing permanent? Let that person consider, and the answer should be that person's own answer or understanding. And how much it's at level of intellectual understanding only, or more than that. There must be conditions for each reality to arise. If it's more than just intellectual understanding, what conditions then? It cannot just come without no conditions. For example, what is right awareness and what is wrong awareness? Because Buddha talked about not only right path, also wrong path, right Eightfold Path and wrong Eightfold Path. For people to have right understanding, to understand the difference so that they wouldn't follow the wrong one. So one shouldn't underestimate the teaching of the Buddha, even one word. For example, what is awareness? Is there awareness now? Awareness of what? See, it's not just talk and talk about it without understanding. Some people would like to hear about the Four Noble Truths, but what about now? It's the first truth, the first noble truth, but it's not noble truth yet, as long as Panya is not enough to experience directly the truth of the arising and falling away, which will lead to enlightenment of no self at all. So right understanding from the beginning is the beginning of the right path. Relax.
I don't know. When I hear your teaching, I realize I so much ignorant. I said with my friend, oh, now I very lopa, dosa, and ignorant. They tell me, they smile me. Yeah, thank you for a lot your teaching, because you help me realize very so much ignorance and understanding Dhamma, the same realize ignorant, no, different before master teaching. If meditation, you will let lopa, let's dosa.
Not my ignorance, my loba, my dosa, just ignorance, but not belonging to me.
And
Yeah.
from listening and understanding now, the perfections begin to develop. Virya, effort, not I. It's there arising with how many chittas, see, taught by the Buddha. And resolution, nothing else can bring more the understanding of whatever appears except from the enlightened one. So his word is so very valuable. We cannot buy understanding no matter how much money. With how much money, it has to be patient and truthful and resolution and effort and more than that. So understanding, right understanding will bring more and more wholesome moment. One is more kind to the others because we are all the same. Ignorance of seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, craving, attachment, aversion. So they're all Dhamma elements. So it's useless to dislike this or that element because this only element conditions reality. Another kusala moment. Let the other appreciate with us of the teachings of Buddha.
Reflecting now on the wholesome moments of this day, may that wholesomeness be known to beings in other realms. Especially to those who were close relatives and friends. And people to whom I owed gratitude. May those beings rejoice in that wholesomeness.